Here in the state of Georgia, the issue of the issue of the controversial curriculum in classroom is really heating up. Earlier this month, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp kicked off the legislative season with a pledge to improve public education, in part by ending the divisive ideologies like CRT that are making its way into the classroom. One of the Georgia legislators that shares the governor's concerns is Georgia Representative Will Wade. Will, welcome to the program.
Hey, how are you, Tony? Great to be with you, and I appreciate you bringing a great message today.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, what does the Protect Students First Act do? This is your bill that you've put forward. Explain to our viewers and listeners what it does.
Certainly. So, we've watched what's going on right now, especially in D.C. and other parts of the country where there's some folks that want to push divisive concepts and radical political ideologies, things that are just theories. And K-12 education especially is no place to create division or to pit children against other children based on any unchangeable fact about them, such as race. And I feel confident that we're going to be able to have fair and open discussions, but ultimately we're going to ensure that no child in the Georgia school, and my hope is in this nation, would ever be looked down upon or lifted up merely based on the color of their skin. So that's what the bill overwhelmingly does. And then it also puts in place an opportunity for parents, grandparents, and other concerned citizens to approach and to have those kind of issues addressed locally first. And if ignored, potentially go all the way to the state school board and to have a review. And potentially, if that school system is found to have not removed such divisive concepts, then they would potentially lose some of their flexibility statuses that we have within our governance structure within the state of Georgia. So there would be a penalty if they ignore it.
Representative Wade, the governor kicked off the legislative season with the State of the Union address, and he brought this issue in of these controversial ideologies in the classroom. Are you surprised that the governor has made this actually a priority for this year's legislative session?
I'm not surprised. Governor Kemp, like myself and many other Georgians, believe that children should not be pitted against each other. And what we've seen is, I believe, a small, loud group of folks that are trying to push specific ideologies. And K-12 education has to be protected. And ultimately, our children need to make sure that they have folks that support them through and through, and won't allow that to ingrain our curriculum or put kids against each other in the classroom. I've got two children myself. I've got a second grader and a kindergartner, and my children are they're not greater than any children based on the color of their skin, and they're also not less than any other children based on the color of their skin. So Martin Luther King, went through an entire cycle in our history with the civil rights movement to push back against violence and to assume that somehow we would measure our opportunity in this country other than the content of our character and the merit of our actions. And I hope that I can be a voice to all folks. This is bigger than what the media wants to only label with CRT. This is about ensuring that we don't allow any radical political ideologies to be ingrained in our public schools.
This has become a big issue across the country. In large part, it kind of started with the COVID, the lockdowns, kids not being able to go to school, parents for the first time actually seeing what their children are being taught, and many of them were horrified, and rightfully so. What are you hearing from parents in Georgia?
So I've had lots of folks reach out, especially about concerns related to, saying that the United States is somehow an inherently racist country, and that our genesis was founded on such principles that would prohibit, certain classes or certain individuals to be able to rise up and to thrive in our country. And I believe America is exactly the opposite. Every single person in this country has an opportunity. I mean, we have an opportunity to pursue happiness however we see fit. And I don't believe that children and their parents should be ignored when they have legitimate concerns I don't believe that it is all across every single classroom. And I don't believe that very many teachers subscribe to that thinking. But it's like anything else. If we don't get more proactive to prevent these types of things becoming ingrained in our curriculum and instruction across our state and obviously across our country, we would, I think we would be derelict in our duties as good Americans to make sure that we protect all children of all races against that type of thinking.
Representative Wade, one final question for you. We're up against the break. What are the prospects of your bill and the others making their way through this year?
You know, I have taken an approach to make sure that I meet with all concerned citizens about this. And I feel like I've done a decent job of listening to folks. That listening is going to continue through the committee process. But my hope is that we can get this through the Georgia House in just a couple of weeks, get it over to our state Senate, and get it to the governor for his signature. And so that we can go ahead and be proactive and make sure that we do protect students first in Georgia.
All right. We'll be watching it very closely. Thanks so much, Representative Wade, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me so much. Appreciate it, Tony.